What's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Pleased to be joined by another lifetime Longhorn, the young prodigy himself, C.J. Vogel, and our own coach, former high school football coach at Vernon, Capel, Brownwood, Belton, Rotan. Also played college football at Abilene Christian, coached there as well, was on the staff at University of Texas for multiple head football coaches. These days, you can catch his work at ShipleyRanches.com. It's our own coach, Bob Shipley. What's going on, Coach? How you doing?
Doing good. How you guys doing?
Doing real good, Coach. Doing real good. We got a lot of football to discuss. Shout out to our friends over at Prize Picks, one of the sponsors for this edition of On Texas Football. Shout out to our friends over at Von Lane as well. We'll give you more messages from our friends and our sponsors coming up a little bit later on in this broadcast. But we'll get into there's some Arch Manning conversation we got to get into. That's also. I think the Arch Manning conversation actually is part of this. Apparently, Game Time and Yahoo Sports released it. They have released the top, basically the top 3 most expensive games, ticket prices, ticket values, most expensive games of the season. So we'll get into that because Texas is the top of that list multiple times, actually. So we'll get into that. And I think that's mostly an Arch Manning kind of storyline. But we'll dive into that. But whatever you guys want to talk about, questions, comments, we'll throw them out there. We'll try to address as many of them as we can. Super chats, jump to the front of the line. You can interrupt the show at any time. Just throw out a super chat, and we'll appreciate that. All right, gentlemen, let's start there because I think it's on the heels of the conversation we were just having about the start times for the Texas-Ohio State game, which is now obviously going to be a prime time start at 6:30 Central Standard Time. Texas A&M game going to be that. Game day is going to be in town for that Texas-Ohio State game in Austin. And looking at the this is interesting from Game Time, they keep up with ticket values across the country. They calculated the top ticket values of the top 5 games in college football, at least preseason wise. And right now, Texas is involved with 3 of the top 5. The Texas A&M game, which is a primetime start, is valued over $1,000 in terms of look at the ticket price, the most expensive ticket. The ticket price for it, if you look at Ohio State at Texas, that one also valued over $1,000. And if you look at Texas versus Oklahoma, that one valued a little over $900. Then Michigan, Ohio State is 4th on this list, and Wisconsin, Notre Dame is 5th. I don't know how Wisconsin versus Notre Dame ends up getting 5th on the list. I have no idea. That doesn't make a lot of sense, actually. But in talking about Arch Manning and really his value to the program, and honestly, all of the games that are going to end up getting national attention because of Arch Manning, I think this is another data point proving that theory, CJ.
I mean, it's out of hand, no? I mean,
it feels that way.
If you wanted to attend all 3 of these games and you don't have season tickets, if you don't have an in, you're spending basically $3,000 just to get in the door. But it shows you the demand to watch the Texas Longhorns, Steve Sarkisian, Arch Manning, et cetera, and what should be a very competitive year. So I understand, but my goodness, it's you better be picking up some extra shifts.
Hey,
no trips for the kids. I mean,
gas is expensive, so I don't know how you get into these games. I don't know if you drive it, whatever. Gas is expensive, man. That's for sure. Coach, what are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same old Kool-Aid that they serve up every year. You know, they're just serving up more of it this year, and rightfully so. I mean, I think, we've got a ways to go, but to have the top 3 high ticket games in the country says a lot about the brand of Texas and says a lot about Arch Manning and the expectations, that people have. Thankfully, if you're traveling to these games and you're in Texas, you don't have to go very far. You don't have to fly to any of them, good luck flying into College Station. But anyway, I think it's, it's the same hype we're going to see on everything. I'm surprised they didn't have Texas, on all the polls as number 1. I see Ohio State, has that, and rightfully so, probably. But, a side note to that is they proved last year what they did with incredible talent. And I think they certainly underachieved for the draft picks they had. But, that's me watching from afar. But I know CJ has said that multiple times as well.
Yeah, I have. I will say this, and Rod, I wanted to ask you, does it surprise you the order in which these 3 games are?
Yes, shocked, actually. I'm a bit shocked at the order. That's why I'm glad you brought that up, CJ, because that was kind of be my next pivot. The fact that Texas A&M ends up at the top of the list, I've said for a while, and I've been talking about this, A&M wants to make a move to become Texas' main rival. Now, to do that, there's a lot that needs to happen. They need to make themselves a championship contender, consistently. Last year, good for them. They made the playoffs, and they produced, double-digit NFL draft picks. They're in that close to that conversation. I think they were right there, and they had the most guys most guys invited to the combine they've had in the program's history. So they're moving in the right direction. They want to make a move to be Texas' main rival because they don't have one. And because of the end of season, like the schedule and the way it breaks down, because of where they are on the schedule, if they are gonna, like last year they did their thing. Like they kept at their end of the bargain last year. It was a very, very highly watched game, and I think a lot of people were, motivated and invested in that game because the Aggies were really good, and the Longhorns, they were good too, but obviously they didn't make it to the playoff like the Aggies did. If each year at the end of the season that game is going to be a game that has national impact in terms of playoff seeding and SEC conference championship standings, I think the Aggies could make a move over the Sooners because, and the Sooners, I'll give Venables credit, he's beaten Sark before. Elko's still trying to beat Sark. He's got to figure that out too. You got to beat him to become a rivalry, but that's to me, and I know the Aggies don't want to agree with this, but part of their identity crisis is they don't have a rival.
Yeah,
they don't. Like Texas is their rival.
Well, no.
The main rival is Oklahoma.
They have a rival. They have one rival.
They're the side piece.
But it's not reciprocated on Texas. I mean, it's a big game.
Yes.
It is their rival. Now, I want to ask this. Is this going to be the last season for conference championships games?
Great question.
Because it's very conceivable. It's possible that Texas and A&M could play twice in a row.
Could happen. There are years previous where in the current format, Auburn and Alabama would have met in the conference championship as well. What's going to be difficult to make that happen is the number of teams now in the conference. You'll have a Georgia, you'll have an LSU. Someone will come away with a tie break that will keep a Texas or Texas A&M away from playing one another.
Yeah.
But it would be fun. And I think it was at one point, probably about week 9 or 10 in 2024, it was a possibility at some point. Had Texas ended up defeating Georgia that year and then gone on to defeat Texas A&M, and A&M didn't fumble against South Carolina and Auburn, I believe, it would have happened. But looking at it now, it just feels like there's too many other possibilities to let that to get to that point. I will say this, though. That game being where it is now, right? Priciest ticket in the country. I think whenever these lists come out, you automatically kind of keep a spot for Ohio State and Michigan. Just, it's the game, right? It's got to be top 5. These guys will spend whatever to make sure that they go see each other play. I think we're to the point where there won't be another year, at least not in the next 5 to 10 years, where we don't see Texas A&M on that list. And I don't think that's something that we could originally have said for Texas, Oklahoma, even when one team was very good and the other was good. I think it fluctuates a little bit more. I think that Texas A&M game, I think you could pencil that into being a top 3 priciest pick for the next decade plus.
I predict when it comes down to it, that the LSU Ole Miss game could jump into the top 5.
Man, thank you, Coach. Thank you. Agreed, Coach.
Should be number 5 right now, I think, probably.
I'm with you. I agree. If you're talking about storylines and what makes it sexy, I agree. They got a true villain now. The fact that LSU ain't got a game in the top 5 is interesting because I think LSU might have like 2 because Texas LSU has a chance, in my opinion, to get up there because both of those teams could be really good. Yeah. But it does show you that I'm with. Honestly, this is a compliment to A&M. And I was not trying to hate on the Aggies when I called them a side piece. That's just my way of saying they're not the main rival for Texas. They're the side piece for Texas. All right, they're the Gumar. All right, there you go. You know what I mean? Ain't nothing wrong with that. They're not a booty call. They're a true side piece. Like Texas cares about A&M, but they're not the main rival. That's Oklahoma. And I always say this about rivalries. Everybody wants to outkick their coverage with their rival, right? Just like your wife. Everybody wants to outkick the coverage with their significant other. Everybody wants to outkick their coverage with the rival. So the Aggies have no championships in the modern era of football. The Sooners are a different football standard. So Texas is like, no, that's our rival. And that's why nobody wants to be the Aggies' rival. Right? Mm-hmm. LSU's like, no, we're not their rival. LSU wants to be Bama's rival. Like Auburn is. And that's why Georgia, it's to me, it's weird unless you got the traditional old school history. And I know Texas and Texas A&M do, but now Texas believes that they're at a different standard than the Aggies rivalry wise. But Elko's trying to change that conversation, change that narrative.
Well, they tried to force 2 other rivalries on them, and A&M said, hey, we don't believe in Arkansas the same way that you were talking about this, right? You don't want to go down to Arkansas.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, what has Arkansas done since Felix Jones and Darren McFadden, right? They haven't done a ton. And then they tried to force the LSU rival because, to your point, LSU is kind of in that same split, that same place where traditional rivalry, I think whenever the pods or, the 3 permanent rivals came out, it was Ole Miss snubbed Alabama for LSU, if I remember correctly. And I sat there and said, wait a minute, like, it makes a whole lot more sense to think Alabama and LSU should play each other every year, given some of the 15 or 20-year history that we've seen with one of the greatest games ever, all of the matchups with all of the NFL players on the field against one another. And you sit there and say, okay, but at the same time, Alabama has Auburn, and Alabama has Georgia, and Alabama has everybody, given everybody wants to go up to play Alabama. So I think Texas and LSU, obviously, in the similar vein where everybody will fight up, they'll punch up to go play them consistently. Mm-hmm. But LSU is a bit on an island after they tried to make that A&M rivalry happen. And I think folks from both sides are like, hey, we don't really care for either school right now. Like, we just don't care. So that's always been an interesting school to follow just from afar is who would they consider to be their main rival? And would it line up with what I would say the public perception is of LSU and their rivalries?
Yeah, I agree. Because I always felt like if you are you want to be the elite of the elite football brands, and I'm not saying this means you got more championships and all kind of stuff, but the elite football brands, they have a lot of rivals because everybody considers himself a rival of that school because everybody wants to be in that conversation. Like you said, everybody wants to kind of punch up. Everyone wants to outkick their coverage. So the Dallas Cowboys got like 6-7 rivals, right? Those elite football brands got a multiple rivals. Like same thing with, your Notre Dames of the world now. And I think for Texas, that's kind of what you aspire to. You wouldn't mind having, yes, you got Oklahoma, but you got A&M. It's like, this is gonna show I'm a nerd, but the greatest comic book, like the comic book hero, period. You're talking about comic books, you're talking about action heroes or superheroes, whatever, is Batman. Why? Because Batman's got more rivals than any of them.
The Penguin, the Riddler.
Yeah. Everybody. The Joker. Like, you go through the list, Bane, everybody is Batman's rival. Everybody wants to go against Batman. He got like 20 of them. You can go through the list right now. The Riddler, the Freeze, all that, man. Everybody. All right, you go through the other heroes and they got a few rivals. Batman, he got like 40, 50 of them. Bunch of them. Everybody's Batman. Hell, he want to get Superman. He's like, man, hell, Superman. I'm taking Superman down too. Batman go up against everybody. That's why Batman's the greatest comic book hero. You want to be the greatest, that's the greatest brand in comic books, period. That's why the movies have been better than any comic book hero adaptations. Like, he's the best brand. That's the brand you aspire to, right? That's the Cowboys of comic book heroes, because everybody want to be a rival with Cowboy, even though they ain't really won nothing in 20 years. Don't matter. That's the brand. And that's the same thing with the Longhorns. You want to be that brand. Notre Dame's got some of that. You want to be that brand where everybody's like, I hate the Longhorns. I want to be a rival of the Longhorns, even if it's a new age rivalry, just for a little spring fling for just a couple of years, or if it's old school traditionals like A&M and like Oklahoma and like Arkansas. Yeah, that's what makes it good, man. Rivalries are great for a brand. And that's why I'm glad that Sark called out Ole Miss. We can talk about that too. I know Stephen A. Smith mad about it. I'm glad he called them out, because now that's a rivalry for just this 1 year. Just a 1 year, Texas and Ole Miss is like, I gotta watch that game. That game, man. Sark called out him, and then he negatively recruited against Sark and used his history against him. That's beautiful. I can't add. I love it. I love it.
To your Batman point, it helps that Arkham Asylum is a pretty crazy place, right? But that just might be the SEC these days. So Scarecrow was another great pull, Deebs. That was always a character that freaked me out. So
come on. I say you can't you forget about all the great Batman. The Batman villain's so great. They got their own movies now. The Joker got his own series of movies. The Penguin about to have his own series, got his own series on HBO. That's how good the villains of Batman are. They get their own stuff. It's so damn good. It's so compelling. Like that's why. Sorry, I'm a nerd, and I went off on my nerddom there. I apologize there. Coach, did you even feel that at all? You're like, man, this dude been waiting.
No. I feel it. I just want to add. I want Matthew to add that to the list when Rod is on a rant and talking. Going at it. That's going to be one of the ones that's going to make the top 5, maybe.
Yeah, they keep coming Clayface. Yeah, who's the guy that got the Two-Face? Who's the Two-Face guy? You know what I mean? Come on, man. Yeah. It's like Harvey, what's his name? Harvey Dent, whatever. Come on.
The Green Goblin?
Green Goblin, forgot. Come on. It just keep coming on over and over again.
You guys are a bunch of nerds. That's all I got.
That's what I'm saying. I know that, Coach. I revealed that, and I apologize to the people. I was supposed to be cooler than that, but I do get into my coming. I know CB felt that too. All right, let's. But yeah, so Texas, obviously a hot ticket. I want to ask you guys really about because now I think the hot tickets. Oh no, what did Matthew do?
You don't want to see it.
Oh no, I missed that. No. Oh, let me see it. It ain't coming up for me yet.
Yeah, baby.
No, I knew it was going to reveal my nerddom when I gave the analogy. I knew it was going to reveal my true nerd.
You probably had all the action figures, didn't you, Rod?
Oh yeah.
You probably had boom, bam, wow.
Oh, come on, man. Oh yeah. That's how you know. That's how old Coach is. Coach is describing old school Batman
across
series.
The screen.
Yeah.
Bam, wow, boom. In that cloud, that kind of like the cartoon.
No, I used to watch that series, Coach, where it's like, bam. What's his name? West? Who is it? Who played Batman back in that series?
Yeah, it was something West.
Was this Dick West, was it?
No,
Adam West.
Adam West, that's it.
Adam West. Yes,
Adam West. But the good thing about Batman is you can still have characters playing him for decades and centuries because he got the mask.
Got the mask.
He's got the mask. So I mean, you could.
Yeah.
You have endless possibilities of Batman in the future. Maybe future Batman is not even born yet.
That's true. You've had Adam West. That was like a name. Adam West, Michael Keaton. You've had who else has played him? George Clooney played him. I think George Clooney was a Batman at one point. I know we got the latest one with Pattinson.
Garrison, what was
Pattinson's his name? Like the latest one. Christian Bale, of course. I mean, that's
do you guys ever wonder about?
I'm missing.
Do you ever wonder about Robin? I mean,
I don't know. I ain't paying attention.
Wearing those little leards around, those two guys wearing those leotards around. I mean, come on.
I missed a couple. See, look at all. There you go. Boom.
Wow.
Oh yeah, Ben Affleck. How I miss Ben Affleck and Val Kilmer. I miss both of them. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's the ones who played him in the movies. All right. Thank you, Matthew. I appreciate that. There you go. All right, random stuff there. All right, let's get back to some questions here. Let's try to get back on track. CB says Batman or Iron Man, Rod. Batman. Like I said, Batman's the greatest. It's like, who's the greatest action movie hero to me? It's like I think it's easy both ways, but I don't think it's a conversation. Like, Batman is the greatest comic book hero of all time. I think Bruce Willis, John McClane is the greatest action movie hero of all time, and it's not even close. I don't think it's even enough conversation. People are like, it's kind of like, it's not a conversation. Like, he's easily the best. Yeah. Now, superheroes, that's different, because technically Batman's not a superhero. This is how you want to get real nerdy. Technically, he's not a superhero. He has no superpowers. So technically, he doesn't, even though he kicks.
You learned that at the nerd convention?
That's what I'm saying. Y'all want to get into technically he's not a superhero. Well, let's get back to the football here. All right, I can nerd out on football. How about this one from how about this one from John D says, tell me Georgia isn't one all Longhorn fans want to beat. Myself, I think Texas wants to beat Georgia bad. Maybe you're right the moment OU is still the rival, but I think Georgia will be. John, this is interesting you bring this up, because I was wrong. So when I'm wrong, I'll admit it, because when I'm right, I like to pat myself on the back. I was wrong. I originally at one point said Texas and Georgia would have a rivalry, and that they will be rivals because they were going to play each other so much over the next 2 years. I said they would be rivals, and I was wrong, because Texas ain't been able to equal out the rivalry. So it's not a rivalry. It's just Georgia whipping on Texas. So yes, I think, what's the most satisfying victory for Sark right now if he could get it? Any school?
It'd be Georgia.
Ohio State second?
Ohio State's in the conversation. If it wasn't the same conference, I would say probably. Or I guess if they were in the same conference, it would probably be far and away, yes.
A real rivalry is when you can say, throw out the records. Because when these two teams play, anything can happen. That's Texas OU, or it used to be. Not quite as much in the last few years, but remember there were times, we would beat them by so many, or they would beat us by so many. And you're like, we went in there, with the year Charlie Strong went in there and beat OU. Nobody saw that coming.
Nope.
And so, they always say, throw out the record books, Well, that really hadn't been the case recently with Texas and Texas A&M.
No. It's a good point. You're right.
Or Texas and Georgia. Or Texas and Georgia.
Nope.
Brian brings up a good point.
Georgia's dominated since 2018, 17, 18, Super Bowl.
So, I'm with you guys. Texas has to beat an Ohio State and beat a Georgia for this to be considered a rivalry. But at what point do we need to say, hey, Oklahoma needs to score on Texas for this to be considered still a rivalry? You ever think about that one?
Yeah, if it continues to trend that way, it's going to lose its luster,
Yeah.
It would have been, I'm going off the rails a little bit, but you go back, 2023, how different would that rivalry now be considered, especially from the Oklahoma and Venables side, had Texas been able to hold onto that lead against Dylan Gabriel? I'm playing the if game here, but that would have been 49-0. That would have been another win over Dylan Gabriel. That would have been 2 straight shutouts from the end zone. If you're Brent Venables, I know you got to the playoff, but at what point does that series just get to you? So I think that final drive by Dylan Gabriel in that game,
that's big.
I think it's working wonders right now for the Oklahoma side right now.
I agree with that. It's a good point. You'll see if John Mateer can kind of put himself in the same category. But I agree with you, John, about the Texas right now. That's why Texas has a lot of revenge games on the schedule right now. Ohio State's a revenge game because they got you in the playoffs, kicked you out, and they got you last year to start off things. All right. That's, you had one less loss. Hell, you're in the playoff. Another revenge game feels like, obviously, all of your rivalry games kind of throw in that category. But I feel the Ole Miss game now is thrown into that category too of revenge game. Florida. You got Florida. Florida, man, let's be honest. Let Florida, you know what? I'm gonna make this point after we take a break from our sponsors. Let's take a break from our sponsors. I'm getting riled up. So let's thank our friends over at Von Lane. Thank real quick, and our friends at Prospect. The first Von Lane. Thank you to our friends at Von Lane. They do a great job, folks. If you are traveling these short routes in between major Texas cities, or if you are driving yourself, say you're just driving those shorter routes in between major Texas cities or in the region, you may be doing yourself a disservice. The better option is Von Lane. It is a first-class travel experience on the ground. I've taken it myself several times. I love the Von Lane experience. It's great. I love the work on the Von Lane, whether I'm taking it to Houston, whether I'm taking it to DFW. My wife has also taken the Von Lane several times. She's a big fan. We actually partnered with them on our Texas tour with Third and Longhorn. So my friends on Third and Longhorn, now they're big fans of Von Lane as well as us on Texas Football Lore as well. So it's a great experience. It's a great service. You board in minutes at a private hotel terminal. You sell into one of just 22 oversized leather seats. You enjoy complimentary Wi-Fi, snacks, beverages, and hot towel service on every trip. Also on select departures, they even have complimentary meals. If you want to, you can work, and they've upgraded their entire fleet with Starlink internet, so now the Wi-Fi is faster and more reliable. They serve Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Fort Worth, Plano, the Woodlands, also Nashville, Knoxville, Memphis, Atlanta. They keep adding more and more major locations to the list. And if you're traveling with a team or a group, you can charter your own Von Lane coach and design the trip from pickup to drop off. If it's your first time riding, use the code OTF26 at checkout to get $20 off your first ride with Von Lane. That's VONLANE.com. That's vonlane.com. Your private jet on wheels. All right. While we're thanking sponsors, also thank our friends over at Prize Picks. We appreciate Prize Picks. And if you aren't picking with Prize Picks at this point, folks, you're doing yourself a disservice. I feel bad for you. All right. You're doing it the wrong way. Our friends at Prize Picks, they make each and every sports watching experience just that much better. Now, every possession matters, every at bat matters, every shot. And folks, our friends over at Prize Picks, they've also done a great job of just making it really, really easy for you. And that's what I love about Prize Picks too. And not only do they make it easy for you, so you can, obviously pick whatever sport you want, whatever athlete that you feel is hot, making it easy. And you're picking more or less on player stats, points, rebounds, hits, strikeouts, whatever you're already watching. You can build your lineup, submit it, and you're good. It takes maybe a minute. You've got options everywhere. Like I said, you can mix and match, pick your favorite player on your favorite team, mix and match that with baseball or hockey or whatever, basketball, whatever you're into at the time. And that's what I love about our friends over at Prize Picks. And like I said, really easy. You can trust your gut, or you can do a lot of deep dive research, whatever feels right for you. Prize Picks is available in all 50 states, including right here in the great state of Texas. So if you haven't jumped in yet, now's the time. You can download the app. You can use the code HMA, and you can play $5, and they'll give you $50 in lineups instantly. That's the code HMA. 5 gets you 50. It's just that simple. And as always, with our friends over at Prize Picks, you can play smart, play responsibly, play Prize Picks. Thank you very much to our friends at Prize Picks for sponsoring this edition of On Texas Football. All right, let's get back to, I want to talk about this Florida game really quickly. If you look at basically teams that Sark has lost to, the Florida game is the second worst loss for Texas, looking at the record of the opposing team and just looking at the standing of the opposing team he lost to. It was the second worst loss in the Sark era. We all know what the first loss is. That's to Kansas. You lost to that Kansas team was a 2-win team. All right, that was the worst loss, but that was in his first year. Easily forgivable. First year now, not easily. It was forgivable because you lost to Kansas, but you lost to him at home. That Florida game in your fifth year, that was your second worst loss in your tenure at Texas. It was, because that team, they fired their head coach like 2 games later. That's how bad that team was. You hadn't lost to a team with a record that bad since you lost to Kansas. That's why I can't get on Sark's bandwagon complaining about the college football playoff committee. It's like, dude, you lost to a horrible team that fired their head coach and I don't know, they're a 4 or 5 win team. I don't know how many wins they had. I forget. But he's one of the worst teams in college football in your 5th year. I can't feel bad for you. I know it happens. It happens to everybody. No team is perfect. But that was their second worst loss of your tenure at Texas. It's kind of inexcusable. Sorry.
No, absolutely. And it was a team and a quarterback that threw, 5 interceptions against LSU, which was not a good defense to begin with the week before, 2 weeks before, right? It was – and it wasn't really close, right, from the get-go. It was a 13-play drive to put points on the board 8 minutes into the game. And you sit there and say, okay, that didn't really go as expected for Texas. And then Texas never rebounded, and they never had the opportunity to equal out the physicality or play on their own terms. They were always chasing in that game, Rod. It was, I think, Kansas absolutely number one. That Arkansas game in 2021, I still
that was pretty bad.
Can't get over. Just again, physically dominated from the get-go. Coach,
I almost saw that one coming, Arkansas, because I just don't think Sark understood the history of that rivalry and what the fans in Arkansas were going to do when we showed up there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and not to mention the physicality. And, you look at it, it's like, oh, it's Arkansas. But at the same time, those are guys that have played LSU. They've played Georgia. They've played South Carolina. They've played all these teams consistently. Their program is ready for that. And then Texas went back to the Big 12. And there's a different level, as we've seen clearly. So I think that set up how this program was and has been constructed since the move to the SEC, but obviously I wasn't ready for that at the time. That trip to Fayetteville in 2021 for anybody who went wasn't very fun. So I'm with you, Rod. Those would probably be the top 3 for me.
Yeah.
Put Texas Tech in the top 5 too.
Probably.
Yeah. That was a strange, weird game though. I remember watching it. In that game, didn't Bijan fumble in that game? Was it Bijan that fumbled in that game? Bijan never fumbles. Like that's one of the only times I remember Bijan fumbling. Like that was a freaky. Go back and watch that. Even Texas, remember the Texas like the comeback in that game, like how they came back. They're supposed to lose like initially and lose like I don't know, at least by by double digits. They're supposed to lose at least by a score. But they came back and had a freaky comeback. I remember that too. To make it tight, and then the Bijan fumble in overtime. And Bijan, like I said, do y'all remember another Bijan fumble? Do you remember?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Run right up the gut, got the ball punched out, and you sat there. I remember when that happened, obviously the game ends. Tech scores, kick a field goal, they win the game. And I sat there, and I wasn't even, you're upset after a game. But I remember you vividly sitting there, it's like, I can't be like that just doesn't happen for Bijan, right? I wasn't mad. I stomached that loss maybe better than any loss I've seen, and went to Texas Tech in overtime in a game Texas should have won. But I was like, I mean, that's just the playoff god, or college football god saying you weren't even close to trying. Like you couldn't have won that game even if you tried. If Bijan's fumbling, good luck.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great point. If Bijan's fumbling, you ain't got a shot anyway. Not that team. No way. But I remember that. That's probably up there too, Coach. You're right about that one. But all right, let's get back to the questions here. I know we got a few of them. I want to make sure we address them. How about this one from Tennessee Longhorn says, y'all thoughts on what Stephen A. Smith said? I didn't like that he said, Ole Miss is a better program because they made the playoffs one time and we didn't. I don't hate Stephen A. like some people do, and I don't necessarily like Stephen A. either. Like I don't even watch Stephen A. Smith. I only see him when he come on my timeline. And that came across my timeline. Y'all know Stephen A. Smith is not watching college football. Y'all know this. He is not watching actual college football. Y'all know that. We all know that. And that's cool. Stephen A. Smith gets paid to do a lot of stuff and paid good money. And it ain't to watch and analyze college football. So when he started talking about Ole Miss is a better program than Texas, then it's like, y'all really think Stephen A. Smith's been keeping up with college football the last 5 years in Sark's tenure? He doesn't know that. But I will say he basically got on Sark for taking a shot at Ole Miss, correct? That was his. Yep. I think the gist of the spiel was he thought it was a low blow for Sark to take the shot at Ole Miss about the basket weaving thing, which I also think because he doesn't follow college football, he doesn't realize that was also a public story about Pete Golding taking a private shot, if you will, negative recruiting against Sark in the Arch Manning recruitment. So I don't think he knows that kind of stuff either. So I disagree with him Ole Miss is a better program. But like I said, I like this because that Texas Ole Miss game now, it's slowly becoming a must watch. Like I gotta tune in. Like, I'm gonna tune in anyway. We're talking about nationally. People are like, man, what's going? Like Stephen A. Smith is talking about that story. That shot that he took at Ole Miss. That basketball thing. It made it to Fox News. It made it to like Good Morning America. It went from the sports page to the front page. It was one of them comments, just like Lane Kiffin's comment about Ole Miss and the racial tension in recruiting, that kind of stuff. It made it to the front page. So now there people would have no idea about Texas Ole Miss. Like, oh, they're gonna play. That's an interesting competition now that the coaches are going off on each other. And if y'all haven't heard, Coach, I don't know if you heard what CJ want to do, but I think it's a brilliant idea because you're a high school coach, so you know you've been a part of these. CJ, give me your idea what the SEC needs to do for SEC Media Days with the coaches.
Coach, we got to sit them down, like the kicked off candidates on the Bachelorette after the season's concluded, and just have a tell-all. I want a panel of all 16 coaches in the same room, and you pick a host. You pick a host. They sit up there and they just say, "Hey, Pete Golding, what do you say to Lane Kiffin and Steve Sarkisian after they went at you on the same afternoon?" And he's got to get up there and answer to the mic. Coach.
That's must-see TV. You talking about rankings now, ratings, and then throw a two pair of boxing gloves out there. You can't settle it. Let's just settle it the old-fashioned way.
I think what you need is a moderator, just like they got like Andy Cohen. If you watch the Real Housewives reunions, you need a moderator and you need the receipts. So they need to bring up the quote from Sark and everything. Be like, yeah, but Pete Golden, we heard you said this. This is what they had to say about what you said to Arch Manning.
It'd be a lot of backtracking.
Oh,
yes, beautiful. A lot of backtracking.
Oh,
well, that's out of context. Nick Saban would be a good one.
You know what you need? Those boxing and UFC weigh-ins where the guys get face to face like that. You always have a couple guys that are like, they're kind of like this, like protecting each other.
They're strength coaches. They're strength coaches are separated.
They get back
with their shirts off.
The big doms of college football coming in to protect these guys.
CJ, I don't know if you may be too young to remember this. Did you ever watch Jerry Springer?
But I've seen clips. I TikTok every now and then.
Remember the big bodyguard guy, coach, that was standing there to keep the fight from happening? You need like two of those on both sides of the stage so he can step in. If some coach gets up like, oh, what you say? What you say, Lane Kiffin? And then you get up.
No, you didn't.
We go Jerry Springer this SEC Media Days, man. We go
Jerry Springer would be a great host.
Right behind Nick Saban. I like the Saban thing to say because you know why Saban will be great because nobody can disrespect Saban. Like he literally is he's the Don. Like he's the Don. Like everybody know. Like
what did you say to Saban? You couldn't say anything.
He's the mob boss. He's the mob boss. So he's like, so you even no matter how you approach it, you need to approach it. Well, I don't disrespect the host. I just got to go at the opposing coach.
If Nick Saban said, "Hold on a second," they would shut their mouth.
Exactly.
They would shut their mouth. Every one of them would.
Oh, man. I got to tell you, CJ, this is a brilliant idea. And that way we can get national attention, power slaps.
You talking about ratings going up for football games.
Oh, man. The ratings will be through the roof. The ratings will be through the roof for the SEC Media Days, man. Just having coaches go at it. And remember, didn't who's the Florida coach? Didn't he jump in on it, John Summerall? And he tweet out something.
Yeah, out of nowhere. John Summerall chimed in on the basketball even comment, and you're like, I'm sitting there, it's like,
I love it.
There's no correlate. I bet. Hey, that's the fun of it, right? Get these guys on a Twitter machine and let them go,
bro. They're because they all got their own. They all got their own motive. They all got their own motive, like why they want to get in on the drama. But it goes to what we said, and I've talked about this. Villains are so good for sports. Villains are so good for sports. And you have to have somebody that wants to embrace being a villain. But what's the best thing that happened to women's basketball? It was having a true hero in Caitlin Clark and a true villain in Angel Reese. And it was like, boosh. That's all you need. People will pick sides. They'll politicize it. They'll do whatever. But they'll do the work for you. All right? You need a villain and you need a hero. But the villain is key because the villain will create conflict. That's why reality TV, there's always an a-hole. That's just like, why is this person so? This is a bad person. Nope, you need that person. Otherwise, the show will be boring. You need that person to create conflict. All right, that's because villains that's what do, and then conflict creates storylines. Because then they'll start. People will start arguing with each other. They'll pick sides. Blah blah blah. And that's what's happening in college football right now. And I think Lane Kiffin is the villain. I believe he is the villain. And he's the one that don't care what nobody thinks of him. And he's like, I don't care. I'm a villain.
He'd be a pretty good moderator too.
He wasn't.
He got the goods on everybody.
He does. He does true. If you want ultimate drama, then you let Lane Kiffin do it. And then you will need the bodyguards if you let Lane Kiffin do it. But somebody's point is, that's a good point, says, for some folks, Caitlin Clark was a villain. That's what all right said. Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. Like for some people, they'll be like, Sark's the villain now. For some people out there, after Sark saying what he said in the USA Today, he's the villain. Because some people are like, hold up. Because we see Sark as a whistleblower, seeing the wrongdoing and telling everybody about the bad stuff that's going on. Ric Flair would be a great moderator too. Woo! But some people in the country are like, hold up, Texas tampering just like everybody else. Texas doing the same stuff everybody else doing. Why are they calling everybody else out? I know Texas is doing this and doing that. So they're like, oh, he kind of a snitch. Why he coming out like this? Like he's holier than thou. And whether they're right or not doesn't matter because they're picking sides.
Yeah, one of the problems is that 3.36 all-time best GPA. They start pulling up, seeing what our guys are taking. I mean, I don't know what they're taking. I don't know what they're taking, but I don't know that I want to find out what they're taking to have a 3.36 GPA. I never sniffed a 3.36 in my college career until I was married with kids getting my master's.
That's probably a good point, Coach.
I don't know. I will say this because it's a great point. I don't know I would say the GPA. It is amazing. The 3 point. That's probably one of the best in the country for a football program. I know they got rid of some of the BS because I was taking originally that was like a youth and community studies. I won't say they got rid of that because that was basically you trained to be a playground teacher, a PE teacher, and it's like now we ain't doing that. That's not Texas. We got a different standard. So now you have to be like when I came back, you had to be a true education major, and they basically gotten rid of that. They were like, nah, that's what Ole Miss is doing. We ain't doing that. So I've heard that compliance is a bit of a pain at Texas. I've heard that from multiple people who would know that they're not trying to be your friend. There's people that make sure you're abiding by all the rules and regulations. So I do think at Texas, I think Sark's probably complaining about that pretty much. Like, man, I got to make sure my guys go to class. He said that he has complained. He ain't complaining, but he has talked about it several times. And Coach, you married. When your wife keep bringing something up, she ain't complaining, but she complaining. All right. And he's basically saying like, hey, my guys got to go to class, but these other dudes ain't going to class. They ain't doing a damn thing. My guys got to go to class. So if he keeps bringing it up, he's basically saying my life as a coach is harder than the rest of y'all because my guys got to go to class. And I got to make sure they go to class. That's part of my obligation as a coach too. When some of y'all ain't got to worry about that because y'all playing school, y'all ain't going to school. So that's why he keeps talking about it.
I totally agree.
Yeah, which I think that's Texas, baby. He used to because you sell that degree. That degree has always been part of the sales pitch. Mac was pitching it, Tom Herman was pitching, Charlie Strong was pitching it, and Sark's pitching it too. That Texas degree, it's right outside the Ivy League. That's what they say. Hey, it's outside the Ivy League. You won't get a better degree in Texas. Outside the Ivy League, you won't get a better degree in Texas. It's like Stanford in the Ivy League. They keep that's the sales pitch. I'm telling you, because I've heard it and I know the sales pitch really well. And Sark's like, y'all are devaluing my pitch because y'all don't go to school. And now nobody cares about school anymore. And so now my Texas degree pitch don't mean as much as it used to because all y'all care about is dollar bill, y'all. That's just my take. So, but it ain't going to happen, Sark. That nobody care about education no more. Those days are done. I love them, but you got to get the kind of Stanford guys who care about education. Those now are not the majority of players in college football. They don't care about education like that anymore. They don't. They should. They don't. All right. Horns Truth says, thank you for the super chat. Who's Sark taking to media day? Hope Colin goes. That's a good question. Thank you.
Yeah, it is a good question. It hasn't been released yet. If I had to bet on 4, I would be shocked if it was anybody other than Arch Manning, Trevor Gooseby, Colin Simmons, and either Jelani McDonald, or I could see a Cam Coleman, right? Someone, a big profile like that. But I would bet Jelani, just as the homegrown, stuck through the program, 2 defense, 2 offense kind of guys.
Yeah. I would say how many can they take? What's the limit?
Normally it's 4.
It's 4.
3 or 4 normally.
So Arch, Colin definitely are going to be your 2. Do you think you take Trevor Gooseby?
I think so.
I would think
Yeah,
so.
probably. Yeah, I bet it's 2 offense, 2 defense.
Okay. So Gooseby, Arch, and then Colin Simmons, and who's your Jelani? Okay. Yeah, I like that. Jelani's got a good personality too. I've gotten a chance to interview him a couple of times.
Or Ty Anthony Smith. Like I could see,
yeah,
a guy that's been around the program for a while. They know what to and what not to say, especially on a scale like that. So
yeah, that's
we'll
good.
See.
Yeah, at this SEC Media Days, you're gonna want your savviest guys because they're gonna be asked about a lot of different stuff because you got all these marquee games with all these storylines, and we just talked about kind of revenge games and all these comments that have been made in the offseason. You want the guys who know how to handle it. So, and John Bianca does a really good job prepping the guys, getting them ready. Okay. Thank you for that. That super chat. We appreciate it. And all right. I wasn't saying that, Texas, that education shouldn't be important, but I'm just echoing what Sark actually said about it. Sark is saying that we aren't prioritizing and emphasizing education. So if Sark is saying it, then he's right. I mean, that means it's a real deal. Like he's, because I've said this before, all the changes in college football benefit Texas. There's no reason for Sark to be speaking out. Everything benefits him. Everything. NIL, rev share, the transfer, everything all these things are benefiting Texas. Why are you complaining other than he is genuinely, I think, heartfelt? Like he said over and over, I'm a fan of college football, and he is very willing to get into these macro conversations about college football. You can always rope Sark in. One good question, he'll go on 5-8 minutes. You know that, CJ. You're asking about major college football topic, he'll be like, oh yeah, I'm glad you asked about that actually. And he'll sit there and he'll just go on. Because I think it's on his heart. He's a college football fan. Because otherwise, there's no reason for him to be talking. It's all benefiting you.
It's one of those things where it's like, okay, now he sees the opportunity to expand on something that's been deeper, been held in just by cracking that door open a little bit. He burst through and he's like, oh, yeah, actually, I got a lot of opinions about this college football sport here.
Yeah.
Let's get him off my chest.
Pretty much. Like he could have easily just been boring and kept it moving, but no, Sark's telling you how he actually feels. It's kind of one of the reasons I like Sark at the podium. He is authentic. I'll give him that. He's authentic. He's genuine. I enjoy watching Sark at the podium. I always tune into his media availabilities. And I did not always do that with Mac. God bless Mac, because I love Mac, but Mac would, he would just dominate a press conference because he's smart enough to know I can filibuster this damn thing, and he would just filibuster. And you wouldn't have a chance to ask a question. And then Charlie, we all know I love Charlie, but Charlie wasn't great up there. And Tom Herman thought he was smarter than everybody. So I don't think Tom Herman was really good. I think Sark is genuine, authentic. Like he tries to give you like as much information as he can without compromising what's happening behind the scenes. I'll give him that. All right. Jason with a question here. There was a discussion on OTF webpage, ref discipline. Was there an issue with the leadership that didn't hold players accountable? That's a good question. Because they have a lot of penalties. There's no doubt about that. They're one of the most penalized teams in the country. And even when their leaders, Colin Simmons, who we talked about, was a very penalized player. He had a lot of penalties too. About player accountability, that's tough. I'm not in the locker room, so I don't know who's holding each other accountable. I say they got better in some of those things as the season went on, but there's no doubt discipline was an issue last season with the team.
I'll take over aggression any day over offensive linemen and receivers jumping off sides. There is no excuse for that. You get a late hit or you get, targeting or whatever, it's like my daddy always said, I'd a lot rather say whoa than giddy up, But for an offensive lineman or receiver to jump off sides, that's inexcusable.
Yeah. It was more frustrating to me from who the penalties came from, I think. And you talk about the leaders on the team. I mean, like Colin Simmons' example, a lot of penalties there. Your center, I thought had a lot of false starts, snap infractions we saw.
Yeah.
Defensively, you can only do so much with holding and defensive pass interference. Like, I didn't think it necessarily bit Texas too much, but when it did, it resulted in immediate points. You look at the 2 scoring drives from Ohio State. One was a turnover deep in your zone. The other one was a 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5 that was converted as the result of a defensive pass interference. So, it's all about the timeliness of these penalties, and obviously you'd like for them to be cut down. But, Coach, when you play aggressive, right, it's the nature of the game, but somehow, some way, it's got to get better this year.
Yes.
It just has to.
Yeah, you can't be – I agree with that, especially on the offensive line. The offensive line was top 5 most penalized offensive lines in the country. You can't have that. All right, getting back to – I know we're getting close to the end of things here. We got a couple more questions before we get to the end of the live stream. How about this one from CB says, CJ, how has Swain looked at the combine? Oh.
Yeah, NBA Combine ongoing right now. A lot of conversations, a lot of early mocks of Swain climbing into the late teens. I've seen as early as number 13 to the Heat. We know that the Heat like him, so we'll see. 6'5.5", I think, is what he came in on barefoot. I think he was obviously everybody stretches the height whenever it comes to team rosters and stuff like that. But right now he's been doing his job to make sure that he hears his name in the middle of the first, which is exactly where, if you're Sean Miller in this Texas program, you want him to go.
All right. Thank you for that one. Appreciate it. Arrow Kid says, what percentage of the stadium are corporate tickets at this point? I don't know that. That's a good question. That's an NFL thing. I know NFL deals with a lot of that. At this level, I know CDC still is very aware and I think, actually supportive of the students getting access and having that equal a home field advantage or generate a home field advantage, home court advantage, whatever. So I don't know that. I'm sure it is some. I mean, I can't say it ain't none, but the NFL, I know that's a big issue with the NFL, like especially NFL like playoff games and Super Bowl. That's why home field advantage in the NFL disappears. It's not so much in the postseason as it used to be. It's not so much of an advantage because there's a big corporate influence, of course. So maybe you're right. I got to do some research on that, Arrow Kids. It's a good question, though, actually. Considering those ticket prices we're looking at. And my wife kind of works in that industry, too. And there is a lot of tickets bought by big companies, and they're given out as added value for contracts or gifts for different people and that kind of stuff, too. But usually you still end up with fans there as opposed to, I'll admit, the NFL is something who don't give it. Like the Super Bowl, if you ever go to the Super Bowl, there are very few actual fans in the Super Bowl. It's just like people who are just there for the spectacle of the event, rather than just like a fan of the teams. I'm sorry, fans of football, but not a fan of those teams. You'd be surprised the percentage. It's probably lower than you think at those big events like that. Justin here with the super chat says, story time, Coach. What was your best and worst day working at Texas? Oh, that's good.
Ooh. Well, my best day was Sugar Bowl 2018 when Bebo got after little Bulldog before the game started. Funny thing about that, just to kind of take you back 8 years. I mean, Georgia was, I don't know if you remember, Georgia was hoping they were going to play for the national championship.
Yeah.
And so Georgia's like, oh, man, we ain't playing for the national championship. We got to go to the Sugar Bowl. And we were like, yeah, we got to go to the Sugar Bowl, and by the time they figured out we showed up to play, I mean, it was too late. We had all the momentum in that game. Yeah, that was the best. Probably the worst was the opening game of the Tom Herman era at home against Maryland.
Oh my God.
Yeah. What a disappointment. And then to go back up there the next year and get beat again.
Yeah.
That was probably the best and the worst.
That was brutal, Coach. I ain't gonna lie. That was those 2 losses, because I just talked about how Sark, his second worst loss is that Florida game, right? Because you lost to a bad team, fired their head coach 2 days later. That Maryland team, remember did they have an interim coach?
Yes.
The second time around because he had gotten dismissed.
Wasn't that where they had the guy die in practice or either?
Yes.
I don't know if he died or was in serious
condition. I think he passed away. I think they actually had a player die, Coach. Yeah, it was like some off-season stuff. Yeah, it was serious. And the coach got dismissed as a result.
And it was an 11 o'clock game. And so we thought, man, they're going to come down from Maryland in this Texas heat, and we're going to dominate them. They don't know anything about Texas heat into August, first part of September. Man, they weren't phased a bit.
They dropped 50. That was my first game as a student.
Oh, no. That was your first game as a student?
Tough.
Oh, that's brutal.
Tough.
It was. Yeah, that was some tough years.
I had a high school girlfriend that ended up at Maryland, so the first text I got after walking out the stadium was the little turtle emoji.
Oh, yeah. That was.
That is great. That is wild. What are the odds you dated a chick that was from Maryland out of all the places? And then you played them. And we lost them twice, 2 years in a row. And I remember the jet sweep. They couldn't stop the damn jet sweep. Y'all remember this? Kept doing the same play. They ran that jet sweep over and over again. Oh, man. And that was beginning of 2018. They lost to Maryland?
Yes. Well, no. It was 17.
But they played them back-to-back years.
But then 18
17, we lost to them at home. 18, we lost to them there.
Yes, so 18, this is a beautiful thing about 18. You recovered.
Yes.
Like that season, that team recovered and you end up beating Georgia.
Right.
Like that's the beauty of that season. You forget. You started the season at your lowest point. You ended the season with we're back.
Yeah, that's right, Sam. Yeah.
Oh, I love me some Sam. I love Bam Bam Sam, man. I love Sam Melling for that. People hate on him for that because actually Texas wasn't back. It was, think about how you felt at that moment as a Texas fan. Forget about what happened after. Think about at that moment. That's what you needed. You needed Sam to say that. You needed him to say it at that moment. Bevo had just punked Uga. You Texas had been down for a while. You got a new head coach, not brand new, but still new in Tom Herman, who was supposed to be the prince that was promised. And then you got Bam Bam Sam, who's from Austin, who's all Texas, all day, every day, bleed on, say, we're back, baby, like a VY moment. And we believed him.
Oh, yeah.
We all believed him.
He believed it. He believed
it. You know who didn't believe it? Go watch Tom Herman at that moment. He didn't go watch. Tom Herman was like, son of a God. He didn't believe it. But I remembered how I felt, and I was like, thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sam. We needed it, baby. We needed that swag. Texas had lost its swag. You gave it back to us, big dog. Appreciate that. We need a boost every now and then. Now we got too much of it, as Coach says, the arch out there.
Yeah.
We got too much swag. All right. Thank you to our sponsors. Sorry, guys, couldn't get to all the questions, but great show. Thank you guys for all the super chats and the participation. Thanks to Von Lane. We appreciate our friends at Von. Like I said, vonlane.com. Use that code OTF26 at checkout. You'll get $20 off your first ride with Von Lane. Thank you to our friends at Prize Picks as well. If we missed any of your questions, please direct them to the gentleman at Coffee and Football tomorrow morning, bright and early. The man, the myth, the legend himself, Bobby Burton and Jerry Ham. Actually, I take that back. I'm going to be on Coffee and Football tomorrow.
I will be too for a little bit.
Woo! Hey, there you go. We're going to keep the party going then. So I'm going to be on Coffee Football tomorrow. I believe we're going to be on there with Bobby. I think Jerry's going to be on there, but I'm not sure. But join me. If you got some questions I didn't hit, you can hit them at Coffee and Football tomorrow morning. Also, we'll have your 3 p.m. Friday live stream tomorrow. I'll be on that one as well. I believe Jerry's going to be on that one. That's going to be a lot of fun too. So please just join us, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun talking Texas football. For Coach and for CJ and for Matthew. Matthew is the real MVP, best in the business. Nobody does it better. For Matthew, I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Bears. Until next time, hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em.